We have 999 spirits in this house, but there's always room for one more. 1,000 spirits. Haunted Mansion was directed by Justin Simeon, who did Dear White People as well as Bad Hair. Bad Hair was really good. Dear White People was really good, and was written by Katie Dippold, who ended up doing The Heat in the Heat of the Moment, the one with Melissa McCarthy, one of those comedies that Melissa McCarthy was in. Did I narrow it down? No, they kind of all blend together, but Melissa McCarthy actually is pretty funny when she's given something good to be in. Unlike Ghostbusters 2016 that she was also in, yeah, it actually explained a lot about this movie once I figured that out. So, Lakeith Stanfield, who was in Sorry to Bother You, who's really good. Lakeith is tremendous. He's got great comedic timing. He understands, how to, bring the most out of, any story. He's just really, really good and a goddamn natural. Rosario Dawson's in this. Owen Wilson, Tiffany Haddish, Danny DeVito. Even though he could walk under a closed door, Danny DeVito is still funny. And Jamie Lee Curtis and Jared Leto. I thought I felt a really, really creepy feeling over this movie. Cue Jared Leto. Read up about Jared Leto. Then you'll feel like you need to pressure wash all the filth off of you because of Jared Leto. Okay, so this is based around the Haunted Mansion theme park ride at one of the Disney parks. Likely another Disney park in an alternate universe. A single mother, played by Rosario Dawson, brings her son to a mansion in New Orleans, or in the environs of New Orleans. I mean, they explain this in the intro. It's somewhere in Louisiana, and there are 999 ghosts and spirits and distilled spirits and all kinds of things going on. And now, turns out they can't leave, so they have to bring other people here to solve the mystery before their lives are totally history. Haunted Mansion Tales, woohoo! So, yeah, remember the 2003 Eddie Murphy starring vehicle, Haunted Mansion? If you do, you're better than me, because I actually forgot that it came out 20 years ago. I did recently rewatch it, and it was alright. It wasn't great, it wasn't awful, but it was alright. Eddie Murphy and a few other people, it was a $90 million budget for that movie, and it made about double that. And that was worldwide. Not exactly a rousing success, but it made its money back and then some, and Disney figured, hey, we'll just reboot our own property and put almost twice as much money. $157.8 million budget. I don't know if that includes marketing. And actually, if it doesn't include marketing, it's probably going to bump it up to about 180. So yeah, they put double the money for this. For this. Am I tipping my hand at all to tell you how I felt about this movie? I hated it. I hated it, and I recognize that I am way out of the age range. But having rewatched the 2003 version and thinking that it was alright, it's like, okay, Eddie Murphy is really, really funny when he wants to be. He's nowhere near this. But Rosario Dawson, Lakeith Stanfield, who I just praised, Owen Wilson, Tiffany Haddish was also in it. And Danny DeVito, Jamie Lee Curtis, that's a lot of goddamn star power. And creepy old Jared Leto, who really ought to be in a prison cell in a Turkish area. Nevertheless, a lot of star power. 2 hours. 2 hours devoted to a story that ran out of steam pretty much 20 minutes in. Now, they try to flesh out more of the characters and give some of the ghost backstories. And they try to go through various other things that have happened, like in the past lives. Like all this stuff about, the Master this time. If you haven't seen the first one, I do apologize. The Master, and then you also had Terrence Stamp, who was the butler. You had that story going. This fleshes it out more where there's actually some other evil entity that's keeping all the ghosts there. And oh no, all these ghosts, they end up doing these terrible things because of this, this freaking top hat ghost. Oh no. Yeah, evil ghost. I wonder if you can guess who the evil ghost is. Considering all those other people had characters listed, I wonder if you can guess who it is. Who could possibly play a really creepy ghost that could make people do their bidding like they were in a cult or something? I wonder. So, if you haven't seen the trailer, that's pretty much it. I mean, that's pretty much the best non-spoiler version I can give you. And now to just talk about some of the stuff, such as Ben, Lakeith's character, who's going through some shit. He had a love of his life. He no longer has a love of his life. He's torn. He's giving tours. And he's just generally not an awful person to be around, but a depressed person to be around. And he does tours, but says ghosts aren't real. And Rosario Dawson's Gabby and her son show up. And right off the bat, the comedy falls with a goddamn thud, and then falls through the foundation, and then falls into the Earth's core, and gets worse, and gets worse, and gets worse. What, was Katie held hostage and just made to write the worst shit possible? Because The Heat had some funny lines. Ghostbusters 2016, as much as I dump on it, mainly because Leslie Jones is not funny at all, and the movie itself wasn't that great. There were a few moments that weren't that bad, but that was tonally just uneven and everything, and this actually reminds me a lot more of the 2016 version of Ghostbusters, which may have not been actually one of the worst movies of the decade, but it was one of the most disappointing because it took a great IP, and it did this. Had this movie been an hour and 35, hour and 40 minutes, it probably would have been easier to digest, but no, they stretched this thing out. They wasted the star power. Rosario Dawson, who's been in tremendous movies, has been tremendous in other movies, is basically just reduced to acting like an idiot. Jamie Lee Curtis is reduced to fucking nothing. Danny DeVito tries to do some funny lines. His humor comes up a little short. Ha ha. And Owen Wilson, I mean, I'm not the biggest Owen Wilson fan, but when he's good, he's really, really entertaining. And he's not here. The comedy just did not hit at all. And the special effects, some of them were all right, and others barely looked like they were past the technology in 2003, which makes me feel really old to say that because I was 22 goddamn years old when that happened. But everybody has a reason to be at this house. Basically, the ghosts are forcing them to be there because there are 99 spirits, or 999 spirits, and the bitch needs one. Yeah, I had to work a Jay-Z reference in there, shoehorning it in, grinding bones to make my bread. I don't know if this is coming across, but I didn't really like the Haunted Mansion all that much. There's an intro with Jamie Lee Curtis as the Madam, Jennifer Tilly's character. And yeah, they try to flesh out some more stuff, and that's great. But the problem is you don't get any sense of stakes. There's nothing, to put people in danger. Yeah, there's a reason why they have to stay at that house, but the special effects aren't that great. It turns out some of the ghosts aren't that bad. Some are bad, or some are just born this way. Maybe they're in a bad romance. Da 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 da. It's like a Scooby-Doo episode, extended, except the worst Scooby-Doo episode where the writer clearly wasn't high enough to actually make it as endearing as Scooby-Doo. I was astonished by just how bad this was. It did not help, by the way, that not having a huge amount of affection for the 2003 version, I decided to watch this because what the hell. This feels like a movie they just should have put on Disney+. They put the Pinocchio one that Robert Zemeckis did on Disney+. And they put other better movies on Disney+, right away. Soul, Turning Red. Yet they thought this was going to be something that was going to make a lot of money when the aforementioned original only made twice its budget. I don't see this one making $350 something million. And after Disney basically took a bath on Elemental, and after The Little Mermaid made some profit, but not a ton, they really need to make some better goddamn choices. Yeah, all the comedy just was not good. The backstory, why Ben's character is the way it is, we all know, we can all figure it out. I mean, if we've been, really awake for 5 goddamn minutes, or if we woke up out of a coma, a minute later we saw that scene, yeah, I know what's going to happen there. You could have woken up out of a 20-year coma and figured this stuff out because the writing's simplistic. I can't imagine kids really being entertained by this, given the length of the movie. Again, had it been an hour and a half, had it been hour 40 tops, maybe it could have worked. And the villain is, Jared Leto. It's Jared Leto, by the way, just in case you can't figure that out. Nothing about Nothing about this movie feels organic. The sets, that's what they look like. They don't feel. It doesn't feel like a live atmosphere. It doesn't feel like a real location. Yes, obviously you're basing it on a theme park ride. You should have a little bit of realism. Everything, even the police station, other stuff that they go to when they leave the house. I mean, they can leave the house, but the ghosts haunt them. Basically, what all these places just feel like sets. And it's just bad comedy, advancing us to more bad comedy, advancing us to attempts at emotional storytelling that just don't goddamn work at all. Check out The Haunted Mansion in theaters if you want. Take your kids. If you hate your children, if you hate yourself, you could definitely watch it. Yeah, this was really, really bad. This is possibly top 10 worst. It's definitely one of the laziest films I've seen. For all the talent, all the great acting, or, acting talent here, all the great casting, this movie was a waste of resources, a waste of cast, just a waste in general, with some special effects that were not that good, and attempts to just, try and add more emotion to the story just got to the point where it was like adding bacon on top of bacon, and eventually you just run out of wanting bacon, and now, goddamn it, I want bacon, and I'm going to have to go cook some bacon after this to forget that I watched the goddamn Haunted Mansion. I'm going to get into spoilers. Spoilers will not take very long, just so you know. 3, 2, 1, is your warning. Spoilers. Ben lost his wife in a car accident. He wanted to be able to contact her. He did seeing things that can't be seen. He would want to see into space. And then he decided to dedicate his life to making a camera so he could see the dead, so he could see his girlfriend or his wife one more time. Gabby lost her husband. Her son really misses his dad. That's not really surprising when that gets goddamn revealed. Danny DeVito is obsessed with the mansion. It turns out that there's this guy named Crump. Might as well Crump. Crump! Might as well Crump. Crump being one of the most evil people that loved to manipulate people and felt so cast out that he had to destroy and make people his minions. Again, a lot like Jared Leto. And also Owen Wilson pretends to be a priest, but he's not really a priest. Tiffany Haddish pretends to be a medium, actually may have some medium powers. And my God, Jamie Lee Curtis, I'm glad she got a paycheck, but Jesus Christ, they really wasted her here. There was nothing good about this at all. It arrives at a conclusion where basically the 1,000th soul, easy for me to say, needs to be a willing soul. Ben doesn't feel like he has anything to live for, so he's willing to offer that. Meanwhile, they're trying to figure out where the guys... I thought at first they were having to get Crump's skull, but no, they got the top hat. The top hat that he, had because he was a top hat wearing ghost. He's a top hat hero with ghostly eyes. He's a top hat hero with skull sunken, cheeks. I can't really rhyme that. But they're... Jamie Lee Curtis, it turns out, was somebody that was used by the master to contact various people who lost this master lost his wife, much like the first one. But then it turns out that this evil Crump was the one doing all this stuff. The Crumps are evil Crumps. They're lovely lady Crumps. Check it out. And they basically have to banish Crump back to the Shadow Realm. Also, the voiceover reminded me a lot of Gauntlet Dark Legacy, and just reminded me, like, Red Warrior needs food badly. Blue Warrior's about to die. And the problem is none of the ghosts feel like great. Everybody has to come to grip with the fact that they have lost. And there's this side story about Danny DeVito having a bad heart, and he might end up becoming the 1,000th spirit. But the spirit has to be willing. Ben's willing to sacrifice because he forms a bond with Gabby and the son. But then last minute says, these people may not be able to take away my pain, but they can protect me from you. And then they use the last bit of the top hat and burn it, or use it and do an incantation, and then suddenly Ben kicks the ghost back down there, and then that's it. And then they're living among the ghosts. The ghosts are living in the mansion, all partying. Because it's a theme park ride, get it? Fuck the Haunted Mansion. God, this was terrible. This was terrible. That's the thing. There isn't a whole lot to the plot. There just isn't. And the special effects, once again, are shit. Just this whole production just feels lifeless. Like it's just out to make money, which, yes, is the point of movies. But if you're not even going to try, things are going to get found out because it's a different world now with the box office. Like, movies aren't going to just be churned out to make a profit without having some goddamn substance. I say and watch this movie make $700-800 million, and people wonder, why did this do that? But The Little Mermaid didn't. It gets an F, by the way, just in case you didn't figure that out. Wasting a cast, wasting resources, and just a waste in general. F. Agree, disagree, what I said, like, share, subscribe. Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Ricklin. I'll see you soon.